The energy that you manifest it in is the energy you will keep it in. So this is a little more, there's some depth to this that I want to talk about. Because when we manifest something, depending on the energy with which we manifest it, is going to determine the energy in how it operates in our life. It's going to determine the energy in how we perceive it to be either good or bad, we judge it to be in our life. And it's also going to be the energy with which we keep it. And here's why this is a problem. Depending on the energy that we manifest something in, if we're constantly in evolution, constantly growing, constantly unlocking more truth to access more power, to unlock more truth to access more power, well, that means that we're not going to hold on to that manifestation very long, or it's very quickly going to fall out of alignment, which is why it's so important to manifest from the highest level of alignment, or in other words, to put it very simply, the highest level of evolution, your own evolution that you can access. And so let's dive into this deeper. Like, what does this really mean? So the energy with which you manifest it is the energy with which you will need to use or have to keep it. So something that is really common, and I actually did myself, was the energy of having to prove it, right? And there's a mindset that goes along with this. So like, if you're proving someone wrong, or if you're having to prove yourself, there is something there that says that you're just not good enough. You're not worthy enough. You're not deserving. That something about you is just not enough to have it for any other reason. If you are in the energy of proving, you are not in the energy of owning the true power associated with what you are trying to prove. If you are in the energy of proving, you are in a fighting energy, kind of a warrior energy. You're in an energy that is prickly or abrasive or pushing, right? Like you're using your own force, if that makes sense. And you're using your own force to prove that you can do this. Now, depending on who you're proving this to is going to determine where you need to do some work. But in addition to that, the fact that you are proving anything, or that you need to prove anything, or that there is anything to prove, tells me right away that there's a deficit in your mindset, that there's a deficit in your power, that there is a misalignment in what you think you're worthy and capable of. Because you see, I don't go around trying to prove that I've had a $200,000 day. I don't go around trying to prove that I've made 7 figures. I don't go around trying to prove that I'm married. I walk in somewhere, my husband shows up, they just assume that I'm married. Sometimes they look at my hand and they see, right? Like, there is something about having to prove that means you are out of belief. That means you are out of power. That means you are out of sync. Like, you can get what you want to manifest, but you're not going to come by it the way you want. And keeping it is going to be a struggle. You're constantly going to be in that energy of fighting. And I know this, because when I started my business, all I wanted to prove was that I was good enough to make 500,000 or 7 figures. I wanted to prove to everyone I was good enough to do this because, I dropped out of high school, and because I made every wrong choice under the sun. I made every bad choice that there absolutely was. So I wanted to prove to everybody, despite all of my bad choices, continued, repeated bad choices, that I was still smart, that I could still do it, that I was still capable, that I was still valuable, that I was still good enough to be a part of society. But here's the thing. If I would have ever just stepped back and gone, well, I'm here. I am a part of society. I am good enough. I've been born. I'm worthy. I have communication with God. I know my own God. I am doing things. I'm helping people. I'm a good person. I like who I am. There's so many ways I could have gone there, but it took me having to go through the cycle to prove myself And then when I finally got there, like, nobody cared. Like, nobody stepped forward and they were like, all right, Sherry, so you did it. It was only me. It was only me when I got there, when I got those accolades. I mean, of course, my husband and my children and my family were there. But the people that I thought I was proving something to didn't even like faze them. It didn't even exist. It didn't even matter because it was the achievement and it was about who I was. And I say this because I know it's a really common thing. And you can use this in a very advantageous way. You can use that energy of having to prove something, but eventually you're going to have to pay the price for it. And that's the mindset that goes with it. Like, you have to, everything has a price and you're going to have to pay the price. And at some point you're going to have to trade in using that crutch, that chip on your shoulder, that whatever it is, you're going to have to trade that in for a higher level because you can't get where you want to go with that burden, with that black mark on you, we'll call it, right? Like that, whatever it is. And this is the energy of proving. When you have to prove something, you're not owning it. Now, if you just stepped out of having to prove and just moved right over here to ownership, like, of course I'm the best copywriter. Of course I'm the best manifesting teacher. Of course I'm the best business coach. Of course I'm the most incredible manifesting teacher. Of course everybody wants to work with me. Of course I am loved. Of course I have friends. Of course everyone loves me. I am a great person and I care about people. You see, I don't have to prove any of those things because I know them. I know that no one else has a personal manifesting formula that they can teach you. You can't Google it. It's only me. I know that I'm a great person because I do great things. Because I put my heart out there. Because I help people. Because I do things. And by my standard of what a great person is, that's it. So I meet it. You see, I set the bar. I set the standard. I set the criteria. It all comes from me. And then I judge all of it. And then I decide what is right. Am I living up to my standards? Am I living up to who I want to be? Am I ready to move into my next level? Right? And the thing here is that we're all fooling ourselves when we think we're proving to someone. Because that someone is not living our lives. That someone is not waking up every day and having to look at us in the mirror. That someone is not having to live in our skin. That someone is not concerned with us. And if we quit renting the space in our head to them, and if we quit canceling our truth in favor of proving them wrong, because you're not proving them wrong. None of us even know if that's what they really think. Whoever we're trying to prove things to, we don't know what they really think. And even if we do, it doesn't really matter because they can't live our life. They have their own life to live. And what we do doesn't affect them. And even if they find out, and in 30 seconds later, it's done. So if you are out there and you are working from the energy of having to prove to other people, there's a lot of work there. Obviously, we could talk about this. Send me a message. Let's see what's going on. Right? But also just let go of the pieces that you can let go of because you don't have to hold on to them now. And think about it. Go 6 months into the future. Say you get that thing that you want to manifest. Do you want to have to keep proving it? Because what people don't realize is you might want to prove today and create something tomorrow. But what they don't realize is when you create it in that energy, you have to prove it tomorrow and the day after tomorrow and the year after tomorrow. And eventually, if you don't trade up and trade out of that energy, it will fester, it will become sour, it will go to hell in a handbasket. It will turn on you. The manifestation will turn out to be something you don't want. The entire situation will turn out to be something you don't want because that's not a show of strength. It's not a show of your power. Your true power is deeper than that. Your true power is more meaningful than that. Your true power has more depth and more meaning and more truth and more personal power. And it's not about anyone else. It's all about you. So whatever you want to manifest, allow yourself to be good enough, to be worthy enough, to be deserving, to be who you need to be for you. Because none of those other people are leaving this planet with you. None of those other people are walking this path with you. None of those other people are you. And that's what's important. I'm Sherry Hemstreet of thesherryhemstreet.com. I hope you've enjoyed this.